Americans love to panic over absolutely nothing. You have been aggressively brainwashed into believing that perfectly normal, healthy daily habits are highly toxic biological hazards actively trying to destroy your life. From the grocery store aisles to your kitchen appliances, your fear is based on terrible marketing and zero science. Here are 50 things you confidently think are unhealthy, but are completely fine. 1. Let us go ahead and shatter a deeply ingrained childhood illusion right now. Getting caught in a random Tuesday downpour does not magically inject a respiratory virus into your bloodstream. Your mother was completely wrong. Colds are caused by actual viruses, not damp sweaters. Sure, shivering your butt off might slightly stress your immune system, but a virus still has to actually be invited to the party. The real hazard is sitting indoors, breathing in the heavily recycled, germ-infested air of your sneezing coworkers. So dress for the weather because you want to be comfortable, not because you think a heavy winter coat is a mystical shield against microscopic pathogens. 2. People act like reheating last night's dinner in the microwave is akin to building a tiny, unstable nuclear reactor in their kitchen. You really do not need to fear the reheating process at all. You need to be utterly terrified of how you cool your food down. Leaving cooked rice sitting on the counter for 5 hours turns it into a luxury resort for bacteria. Room temperature is the actual menace here, not your innocent kitchen appliances. Shove those leftovers in the fridge fast, and when you do reheat them, blast them until they are piping hot. 3. Canned soup constantly gets a horrible rap as the ultimate dietary disaster for the exceptionally lazy. But honestly, it is not the radioactive sludge food snobs make it out to be. It is incredibly cheap, highly convenient, and keeps you hydrated when you cannot be bothered to cook. The only genuine drawback is that some brands pack enough sodium to cure a country ham. However, if you actually bother to read the label and grab a low-sodium option, maybe toss in some frozen vegetables, you instantly have a perfectly respectable emergency meal. It certainly beats spending $30 on lukewarm delivery. 4. Staring religiously at that magical fat-burning zone graphic on the treadmill console is a spectacular waste of your time. Yes, technically you burn a higher percentage of calories from fat when you are moving at the speed of a heavily sedated tortoise. But here is the massive kicker: you burn way more total calories and therefore significantly more total fat when you actually put in some high-intensity effort and sweat a little. The delusion that a leisurely, slow-motion stroll while watching a morning game show is some kind of metabolic secret weapon is hilarious. Pick up the pace. 5. Go ahead and admit it, you are still doing that old-school, toe-touching static stretching before you work out like it is a middle school gym class in the 1990s. Please stop doing that immediately. Yanking aggressively on cold, stiff muscles can actually increase your chances of tearing something incredibly important. The modern, scientifically backed approach requires a dynamic warm-up. We are talking about leg swings, arm circles, and simply getting your blood pumping before you try to lift heavy things. Save those agonizing, long static holds for the end of your session when your body is actually pliable. 6. The persistent, deeply annoying rumor that running will automatically destroy your knees is almost exclusively spread by people who will do absolutely anything to avoid running. When executed with halfway decent form and a gradual progression, jogging actually strengthens the muscles, ligaments, and bones surrounding your joints. Do you want to know what actually causes that creaky knee pain? It is usually incredibly weak hips, wearing terrible footwear from the clearance rack, and deciding to sprint 5 miles on your very first day off the couch. Your knees are fine, your strategy is just deeply flawed. 7. If you are still performing dangerous, acrobatic hovering maneuvers over public toilet seats, you can finally relax your thighs. Most of the terrifying microbes that keep you awake at night do not actually survive very well on cold, hard plastic. You are dodging the wrong microscopic bullet. The substantially bigger risks in any public restroom are the high-touch areas like the flush buttons, door handles, and the sink faucet. The porcelain throne itself is hardly the threat. Walking out without aggressively washing your hands with actual soap for 20 seconds is what will actually get you sick. 8. Monosodium glutamate has been the ultimate culinary boogeyman in America for decades. You have been aggressively brainwashed into believing this completely harmless seasoning causes massive headaches and terrifying allergic reactions. In reality, MSG is just naturally occurring sodium combined with an amino acid naturally found in ordinary tomatoes and aged Parmesan cheese. The entire national panic was based on a single, heavily flawed, highly questionable letter written in the 1960s. Stop violently interrogating your local takeout restaurant staff and just enjoy the extra delicious flavor. 9. Unless your cardiologist has you on a terrifyingly strict lockdown plan for severe hypertension, that tiny salt shaker sitting on your dining table is not the primary enemy of your heart. Human bodies actually require sodium to function and stay alive. The real dietary menace destroying your health is the absolutely astronomical amount of hidden salt packed into highly processed, boxed, and restaurant meals. When you eat out, you are consuming sodium levels that border on chemical warfare. Cooking your own meals at home is the only way to actually take back control of your blood pressure. 10. Chasing exactly 8 hours of sleep every single night is a psychological trap that will just make you miserable and anxious. Quality absolutely obliterates sheer quantity when it comes to resting your exhausted brain. Getting 7 hours of deep, uninterrupted, glorious slumber is vastly superior to spending 9 hours tossing, turning, and aggressively staring at the ceiling. Failing to hit some magical numerical target is not the issue. The real problem is having a wildly inconsistent bedtime and burning your retinas by staring at your smartphone screen in the dark until midnight. 11. Americans treat a basic white potato like it is a toxic lump of radioactive carbohydrates actively trying to assassinate their waistline. You violently avoid them, acting like a plain-baked potato is nutritionally identical to a frosted donut. That is absolutely absurd. White potatoes are incredibly dense in vital potassium, highly packed with digestion-slowing fiber, and hold one of the highest satiety indexes of any food on the planet. The problem is not the potato itself. The problem is you deep-frying it and completely drowning it in a gallon of ranch dressing. 12. Accidentally swallowing a piece of chewing gum will not trigger a traumatic, 7-year-long digestive saga inside your intestines. It is entirely true that your stomach acid cannot fully break down the synthetic rubber base, but your digestive tract is a highly efficient, unsympathetic conveyor belt. That piece of gum simply moves along with yesterday's lunch and exits your body within a few days. Now, if a kid swallows a massive wad of it while already severely constipated, it could cause a blockage, so do not make a habit of it. But it is certainly not setting up permanent residence. 13. You were probably warned thousands of times that sitting too close to the television set would permanently ruin your eyesight. That is completely false. Much like reading a book in a dimly lit room, staring at a screen from 3 feet away might cause some temporary eye strain or a mild headache, but it will absolutely not permanently damage your vision. The genuine danger regarding screens in the modern era has nothing to do with physical distance. The real horror is the absolute sheer volume of consecutive hours we spend staring at them without ever blinking. 14. Let us permanently drop the outdated boomer-era notion that playing video games is nothing but a brain-melting, lazy waste of human existence. For a massive chunk of the population, gaming actively improves complex problem-solving skills, sharpens reaction times, and serves as a highly vital social outlet in an increasingly isolated world. The actual problem here is simply a total lack of moderation. If you are completely neglecting your physical health, your career, and your real-world relationships to stare at a glowing monitor, then you have a serious issue. The hobby itself is not the monster. 15. You constantly hear people aggressively bragging about giving up their morning coffee because they think it is a highly toxic, dehydrating poison secretly destroying their adrenal glands. That is entirely backwards. For the vast majority of healthy adults, black coffee is the single largest daily source of powerful antioxidants in the standard American diet. It drastically improves cognitive function, heavily protects your liver, and legitimately lowers your risk of chronic diseases. Your morning brew is completely innocent. Your 6 massive pumps of synthetic caramel syrup are the actual villain here. 16. Let us make one thing crystal clear before the dietary police arrive. A beautiful, unprocessed steak is absolutely not the same thing as a mystery meat stadium hot dog. While you probably should not eat a massive ribeye every single day of the week, consuming unprocessed red meat in moderation provides a massive powerhouse of easily absorbable iron and vital vitamin B12. The completely overblown health scare surrounding beef comes from incredibly flawed studies that stubbornly lump high-quality cuts together with heavily processed bacon and cheap, chemical-filled sausages. Biological context is everything. 17. For absolutely no logical reason, an entire generation of Americans suddenly decided that the yolk of an egg was a terrifying, heart-stopping biological weapon. You are still aggressively ordering those incredibly sad, rubbery, completely flavorless egg white omelets because you are absolutely terrified of dietary cholesterol. Modern nutritional science loudly confirms that consuming the rich, delicious yolk has almost zero negative impact on your actual blood cholesterol levels. You are literally throwing away the exact part of the egg that contains all the vital vitamins, minerals, and actual culinary joy. 18. People constantly act like casually chewing a piece of sugar-free gum is a disgusting, horribly unhealthy habit that will rot your teeth and completely destroy your digestive tract. In reality, chewing gum is an incredibly effective, highly biological tool. It massively stimulates natural saliva production, which actively washes away harmful bacteria and aggressively neutralizes dangerous acids after a heavy meal. Furthermore, the simple mechanical act of chewing is clinically proven to lower your internal physical stress levels. Keep chewing your gum. Your expensive dentist actually quietly approves of it. 19. You absolutely do not have to subject yourself to endless, torturous hours of cardio on a treadmill just to lose some stubborn body fat. As a matter of fact, engaging in heavy strength training is arguably much more crucial for your long-term physique. Actively building new muscle tissue permanently increases your resting metabolism, which literally means your body burns more calories while you are sitting on the sofa watching television. The biggest fitness scam ever sold is the delusion that you can simply jog away a terrible diet without ever picking up a heavy dumbbell. 20. Shoving a massive plate of carbohydrates into your face after 8 at night will not magically and instantly convert into belly fat. Your digestive system does not have a strict evening curfew, and your internal organs certainly cannot tell time. The only metric that actually dictates weight gain is your total caloric intake over a full 24-hour period. This ridiculous myth solely survives because people's definition of late-night carbs usually involves family-sized bags of potato chips, a pint of ice cream, and leftover pizza, rather than a sensible, incredibly boring portion of steamed brown rice. 21. The tragic, heavily marketed war on real, full-fat dairy butter was arguably one of the greatest nutritional blunders in modern American history. For decades, you were violently guilt-tripped into buying absolutely disgusting, chemically constructed tubs of synthetic margarine because you thought real butter would instantly clog your arteries. We now know that naturally occurring dairy fats are perfectly fine in moderation, while those terrifying artificial trans fats and early margarines were the actual things secretly destroying human hearts. Throw away that sad yellow plastic tub and go back to eating real butter. 22. Taking scheduled, completely lazy rest days away from the gym is not a sign of mental weakness. It is literally the exact window where all your physical gains actually happen. Your muscle fibers adapt, repair, and grow stronger during deep sleep, adequate protein synthesis, and proper hydration, not while you are painfully struggling through a horribly ugly final rep. If you stubbornly skip your recovery periods, you are basically just speed-running your way directly into a severe joint injury and total mental burnout. You need to program your rest days just as ruthlessly as your workouts. 23. That deeply ingrained, highly annoying habit of cracking your knuckles during every quiet meeting is absolutely not going to give you crippling arthritis in your old age. That highly satisfying popping sound you hear is nothing more than tiny nitrogen gas bubbles violently bursting inside your synovial joint fluid. Seriously, That is the entire, incredibly boring scientific explanation. While the constant snapping noises might severely test the sanity of every single coworker within a 50-foot radius, medical science loudly confirms it will not ruin your actual joints. Your roommate's fragile patience, however, is doomed. 24. Are you genuinely losing sleep over the idea that wrapping your leftover casserole in aluminum foil is violently leaching dangerous brain-melting chemicals into your food? Current scientific evidence strongly suggests that any trace transfer is incredibly minimal and sits perfectly within established, totally boring safety limits. You need to refocus your intense anxiety onto the actual meal itself. Ultra-processed, insanely high-sodium frozen dinners are the real dietary concern here. Just use the kitchen foil exactly as it was intended, cook some actual whole foods, and realize your foil-wrapped baked potatoes are perfectly safe to consume. 25. Treating plain white rice like it is some sort of toxic, radioactive poison is incredibly dramatic and historically ignorant. Yes, brown rice technically contains a bit more natural fiber, but white rice has successfully served as a highly digestible, incredibly reliable source of cheap energy for billions of healthy humans for centuries. The actual dietary disaster occurs when you take a massive mountain of white rice and completely drown it in a sugary, sodium-packed commercial sauce with absolutely zero protein or green vegetables in sight. Just eat a normal fist-sized portion and calm down. 26. You were aggressively brainwashed by highly powerful cereal companies into believing that skipping breakfast is a massive, unforgivable dietary crime that will instantly crash your metabolism and make you gain 50 pounds. This is completely false. Your biological engine does not suddenly shut down just because you decided to skip a bowl of highly processed, sugary carbohydrates at 7 in the morning. Intermittent fasting and simply waiting until you are actually physically hungry to eat. Your very first meal is a perfectly healthy, incredibly normal human behavior that will not kill you. 27. The internet has suddenly and aggressively decided that basic seed oils are the ultimate devil incarnate, responsible for absolutely every modern disease. This blind panic ridiculously lumps incredibly healthy, cold-pressed flax oil into the exact same category as the heavily degraded, industrial-grade soybean oil sitting in a fast food deep fryer. The real dietary villain destroying your health is the absolute mountain of ultra-processed junk food that these cheap oils happen to be heavily featured in. Biological context and your overall daily eating patterns matter immensely more than obsessing over one single, widely demonized cooking ingredient. 28. Grabbing a carton of full-fat whole milk at the grocery store still feels like a massive, deeply illegal dietary crime to most Americans. You have been heavily conditioned to believe that drinking absolutely anything other than watery, flavorless skim milk is a guaranteed ticket to massive, instant weight gain. But modern science begs to differ entirely. The natural fats found in whole milk actually keep you full for hours and heavily aid in the physical absorption of crucial, fat-soluble vitamins. Stop aggressively punishing yourself with cloudy water and drink the real thing. 29. Stop treating a plastic jar of peanut butter like it is nothing more than spreadable candy for children. True natural peanut butter, consisting solely of ground peanuts and a tiny pinch of salt, delivers a fantastic blast of protein and remarkably healthy fats that will actually keep you full for hours. You only run into major trouble when you buy those massive, commercial brands heavily spiked with extra processed sugars and weird chemical stabilizers. That annoying layer of oil separation at the top is completely normal. Just stir it. If the ingredient list reads like a birthday cake, put it back. 30. Americans culturally treat all chocolate like it is a deeply sinful, highly toxic candy that firmly belongs locked away in the junk food aisle. While a cheap commercial milk chocolate bar is essentially just a solid block of sugar, high-quality dark chocolate is a completely different biological beast. It is absolutely packed with highly potent flavonoids, incredibly dense in iron, and clinically proven to aggressively lower your blood pressure. Eating a few dark squares is practically a legitimate medical intervention, so stop feeling violently guilty every single time you eat a piece. 31. The pervasive, low-level terror that all non-stick frying pans are violently unsafe and constantly off-gassing. Pure poison is based on extremely outdated information. Those major health concerns were centered on older chemical compounds that are absolutely no longer the manufacturing standard in the United States. Modern non-stick cookware is perfectly fine for daily kitchen use, provided you are not an absolute maniac. Just avoid heating an completely empty pan to nuclear temperatures. And for the love of everything, stop violently scraping the delicate coating with a metal spatula. Your morning scrambled eggs are officially safe. 32. If you still honestly believe that aggressively hand-washing your dinner plates in the sink gets them significantly cleaner than a modern machine, you are completely wrong. Dishwashers utilize water temperatures far hotter than human skin could ever possibly tolerate, which physically sanitizes the dishes. The genuinely quiet, horrifying health risk in your kitchen is that perpetually damp, foul-smelling dish sponge sitting by the faucet that never fully dries out. Let the expensive machine do the heavy lifting and start aggressively replacing or boiling your kitchen sponges before they evolve into a brand new life form. 33. Modern American parents treat a simple handful of backyard dirt like it is a terrifying, highly radioactive substance that will instantly send their child straight to the emergency room. We aggressively sanitize absolutely everything with harsh, lung-burning chemicals on a daily basis. But this massive obsession with total indoor sterility is literally destroying our natural immune systems. Exposure to basic, everyday microbes found in mud and nature is exactly what trains a healthy human body to successfully fight off actual illnesses. Stop aggressively bleaching the sandbox and let the kids get filthy. 34. Being completely unable to walk down a single flight of stairs after leg day is not a noble badge of physical honor. Delayed onset muscle soreness simply indicates that you challenged your bodily tissues in a brand new, unfamiliar way, and it absolutely does not reliably track long-term muscle growth. Actively chasing extreme, crippling soreness every single workout is not a valid training program. It is just a fantastic way to artificially skyrocket your risk of a severe joint injury. You need to prioritize progressive overload, adequate sleep, and perfect form. Stop training for the pain. 35. It is officially time to calm down about genetically modified organisms. Despite what a very loud, paranoid corner of the internet constantly claims, these are absolutely not terrifying, laboratory-created frankenfoods designed to ruin your internal organs. Decades of multiple, independent reviews from highly reputable scientific organizations have conclusively found engineered crops to be just as safe as their boring conventional counterparts. The actual scam here is the modern grocery marketing machine aggressively using the non-GMO label to heavily imply a massive health advantage that simply does not exist. Stop reading the flashy labels and eat your vegetables. 36. Are you actively avoiding the shrimp cocktail at holiday parties because you are terrified it will instantly spike your cholesterol and cause a massive heart attack? For the vast majority of human beings, consuming dietary cholesterol has an incredibly limited, almost negligible impact on the actual cholesterol levels floating around in your blood. Plump, delicious shrimp is highly lean, packed with protein, and perfectly healthy as long as it is not violently deep-fried and submerged in a bathtub of heavy garlic butter. Stop aggressively punishing yourself over terribly outdated science and just enjoy the seafood. 37. Taking a complete, unapologetic day off from absolutely everything is not a glaring sign of moral failure. Toxic, modern hustle culture desperately wants you to believe that sitting idle on your couch is basically a criminal offense. Engaging in real, profound rest, completely free of doom-scrolling on social media or agonizing guilt, heavily prevents absolute mental burnout and massively refuels your creative energy. You need to start calling this necessary downtime routine maintenance, not a glaring moral weakness. It is the mandatory biological reset that physically keeps your internal engine from completely seizing up tomorrow morning. 38. Skipping your daily shower for a single day is not going to suddenly transform you into a walking, highly offensive biological hazard. Your human skin actually possesses a wonderfully complex, natural microbiome that aggressive daily overwashing with harsh commercial soaps can severely disrupt. Unless you are visibly caked in dark mud or just finished an incredibly grueling, sweat-soaked workout, taking 24 hours off from intense scrubbing is absolutely not a health crisis. In fact, giving your natural skin oils a brief vacation from the scalding hot water might actually be fantastic for your overall complexion. 39. The incredibly persistent, terrifying myth that eating a sandwich before jumping into the swimming pool will cause massive, fatal stomach cramps is completely fabricated nonsense. There is absolutely zero documented medical evidence of anyone ever drowning just because their digestive system was busy processing a completely normal lunch. Your biological machine is perfectly capable of lightly digesting a turkey sandwich while you casually paddle around the shallow end. This bizarre rule was literally just a highly convenient, spectacular lie your exhausted mother completely invented so she could finally digest her own food in total peace. 40. Stop treating a block of glorious, full-fat cheddar cheese like it is a terrifying, artery-clogging demon sent straight from the underworld. High-quality cheese is actually a fantastically dense source of highly absorbable calcium and high-quality protein. Modern nutritional science now understands that the specific dairy fats found in cheese have a surprisingly neutral, totally boring effect on your blood cholesterol levels. The genuine health issue here is solely your severe lack of adult portion control. Eating a few delicious slices is perfectly healthy. Stress eating an entire 1-pound block at midnight is where things go off the rails. 41. You might want to sit down for this. The incredibly boring tap water flowing in many major cities across the country is heavily tested under wildly strict federal rules and is often perfectly safe to drink. Meanwhile, that wildly overpriced bottled water you are obsessively hoarding falls under completely different, and sometimes incredibly loose, regulatory standards. Do yourself a massive financial favor. Take 5 minutes to check your local city water report, buy a decent pitcher filter if you are incredibly paranoid, and finally stop paying a ridiculous premium for cheap plastic and aggressive marketing campaigns. 42. You probably treat a simple glass jar of mayonnaise like it is a terrifying tub of pure, liquid heart disease waiting to strike. People aggressively and proudly ask for their deli sandwiches dry, genuinely thinking they are making a massive, heroic health decision. But if you actually bother to look at the incredibly boring ingredients, it is literally just oil, egg yolks, and a tiny splash of vinegar or lemon juice. There is absolutely nothing inherently toxic about those 3 simple items. Stop choking down horribly dry turkey sandwiches just to save 30 calories. 43. Are you completely panicked that every single plastic container in your kitchen is heavily leaching terrifying amounts of BPA into your leftovers? Take a deep breath. Nearly all major manufacturing brands shifted to entirely BPA-free materials years ago. The incredibly simple, totally foolproof rule for modern kitchens is this: only microwave food in containers clearly and legally labeled as microwave safe. Avoid blasting incredibly cheap, heavily damaged plastic with intense high heat. The actual danger is not that all plastic is inherently evil. The danger is you stubbornly using the completely wrong storage item the absolute wrong way. 44. Despite the terrifying dramatic warnings your grandmother screamed at you, reading a paperback novel in incredibly dim lighting is absolutely never going to make you go blind. Sure, forcing your eyes to aggressively strain in the dark might cause some severe temporary fatigue or a really annoying headache as your ocular muscles work entirely too hard to focus. However, there is zero clinical medical evidence of permanent, long-term physical damage. Instead of completely panicking about sudden blindness, just fix your terrible setup. Buy a significantly brighter lamp, increase the font size, and occasionally blink to fix your dry eyes. 45. The incredibly persistent, terrifying rumor that using daily antiperspirant will directly cause breast cancer completely lacks any credible modern scientific evidence. Massive, highly reputable medical groups, including the National Cancer Institute, continually report that there is absolutely no conclusive proven link between the aluminum in your deodorant and tumor growth. Do you want a drastically bigger win for your long-term health? Strictly follow official screening guidelines and actually speak to your clinician regularly. The genuine risk to your life is rarely your drugstore deodorant. The real danger is stubbornly skipping your actual, life-saving medical checkups. 46. Taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon is not a glaring sign of terminal laziness. It is an incredibly powerful, deeply biological cheat code. For the vast majority of exhausted adults, a perfectly timed 20-minute power nap acts as a hard physical reset for the brain. It is medically proven to massively boost your alertness, sharply improve your memory, and completely fix a terrible mood. The toxic modern idea that you must aggressively grind 24 hours a day without ever resting is not a sign of mental strength. It is a massive red flag for impending, catastrophic burnout. 47. The bizarre, trendy internet idea that completely normal nightshade vegetables like fresh tomatoes and bell peppers are secretly causing massive, crippling inflammation in your body is incredibly overblown. Unless you have been medically diagnosed with a highly specific, very rare sensitivity or a severe autoimmune condition, these vibrant vegetables are absolutely packed with incredibly beneficial antioxidants and vital nutrients. Stop blaming the salad ingredients for your joint pain. The things actually destroying your health are heavily refined sugars, ultra-processed garbage disguised as food, and the chronic, agonizing stress of your daily life. Eat the damn tomato. 48. There is a massive, deeply ridiculous culinary cult in America that believes putting fresh vegetables into a microwave instantly destroys every single vitamin and turns them into dead, radioactive mush. The absolute opposite is scientifically true. Because microwaves drastically shorten the actual cooking time and require almost zero water to function, they physically preserve substantially more water-soluble nutrients than aggressively boiling your broccoli to death on the stove. Your fancy steamer basket is not morally superior in any way. Your microwave is actually the ultimate, highly efficient vegetable cooking machine. 49. The highly stressful, heavily marketed anabolic window is absolutely not a 30-minute panic attack. You do not need to aggressively sprint to the locker room and violently chug a chalky protein shake the exact second you finish racking your heavy weights. Consistently hitting your total daily protein targets and overall caloric needs matters drastically more than insane, down to the minute timing. Grabbing a protein-heavy meal within a few hours of your workout is highly convenient, sure, but it is certainly not a strict biological mandate. Long-term dietary consistency will always heavily beat stressful stopwatch-based nutrition. 50. Canned fish constantly gets a horribly unfair reputation as sad, depressing emergency bunker food, but it is actually a massive nutritional powerhouse hiding in plain sight. Incredibly cheap, totally shelf-stable tins of canned salmon and small sardines are absolutely loaded with the exact same heart-healthy, incredibly beneficial omega-3 fatty acids as their wildly expensive, fresh fish market counterparts. Honestly, the only thing genuinely unhealthy about eating canned seafood is the completely irrational, deeply absurd culinary snobbery that stubbornly keeps you from actually opening the tin and eating it. Get over yourself and enjoy the incredibly cheap protein. So, which completely harmless thing on this list are you still too much of a stubborn coward to actually try? Go ahead and furiously defend your sad, dry turkey sandwiches in the comments below. I want to see who is still terrified of real butter. If this video successfully dragged you back into reality, forcefully hit that like button and subscribe before you go back to living in total fear.